Daddy is going to kill you. What'd you say? Daddy is going to come home in the car and boom! Forget the pitter-patter of little feet. This is the squeak of a car going boom. When Evil Lurks is going to be streaming on Shudder in just a little bit, but it's getting a limited theatrical release, including at the theater in my town just about 6 miles away. And I checked the Fandango page, checked the IMDb page, and said, oh, it's playing locally? I can go watch it? I don't have to drive all that far? I know nothing about it beyond the plot description. I just know that it's a horror movie from Argentina, and I felt a sudden urgency. Perhaps it was even Argentina. Now that everybody from Argentina that's watching this and everybody that hates bad puns decided to shut off the review in disgust, let's talk about When Evil Lurks. So, I knew nothing about this movie. I hadn't seen the trailer, I'd seen the poster, and I read up about it. And I read up about the writer-director, Damian Rugna. If I even got within the ballpark of saying that correctly, I'm just very, very hopeful. I'm also not going to try to say any of the cast member names, because I really don't want to screw it up. I'll try to say the character names as best as I can remember. So, the writer-director did Satanic Hispanics, a movie that I heard some good things about, was not playing near me, but I'm going to check out as soon as it hits streaming, and Terrified. That was also a Shudder original, and I assume still is. It came out a few years ago. It had some great ideas and some great imagery and some pretty eerie monsters, but it just wasn't cohesive. Something about it didn't fully click. It's like two sides of a magnet that aren't meant to go together. Just something didn't quite work, but there was potential there. And the writer-director proved that he understands horror. And with When Evil Lurks, it's a simple story. Two brothers, Pedro and Jimmy, are in a remote Argentinian village. Where? No fucking idea, because I know nothing about Argentinian geography. I just know that the country is a long walk, a long bus ride, a long plane ride. It's a long goddamn road to hoe, as many old-timers used to say, to get there. I know there is one particularly beautiful cosplayer from Argentina that I follow on social media that definitely is a great representation of Argentina, but nevertheless, she is not in this. This is about two brothers that find a dismembered body, and they have their dogs with them. They find some weird equipment that's all destroyed. They don't know what's going on, and they happen upon a more remote house that houses somebody that is not in very good condition. Let's just say when this person is dealt with, things go really, really awry, and the brothers realize, holy shit, we have done something we shouldn't have done, and then it is a deep, fast, and steep descent into utter goddamn madness. An all-consuming evil that is impossible to keep back. It is going to keep coming and coming and coming, lol, and there is nothing you can do. Maybe there is something you can do, but oh boy, you're only gonna delay the inevitable. So yeah, When Evil Lurks is exactly what it says it is. Evil is lurking, and it is overlording, and overlaying, and overlying, and just basically all over this goddamn movie, and it doesn't let up. Pretty much after a little bit of setup. Very little. We don't know why these brothers are out doing that stuff. They're just out for no goddamn reason. And then we get a little bit of a description about this house that houses this person that's not doing all that well. And then from there, boom, we just keep going and going. We go with violence. There's a few lulls. But when this violence hits, it goddamn keeps hitting and hitting and hitting. It is visceral. It is gory. It doesn't really have time to explain all that much. It is a new twist on an old trick when it comes to possession horror. And I fucking loved it. I fucking loved it. After Terrified, as I said, didn't quite come together. There are things about this movie that maybe they may have not fully clicked if it hadn't been for the visceral imagery and the verbal assault, the visual assault, the mental assault, the assault of just everything on your senses. This is insane. It's great. It's fucking goddamn great. Go watch When Evil Lurks. If it's playing in your theater, go fucking watch it. I see why this movie got so many great reviews. I only checked out, like, the ratings. I didn't check out all that much as far as the descriptions beyond. They say it's gory. It'll make you hate children, which is easy to do because I loathe children. Children deserve to be raised in a loving home. I just can't stand being around children. Don't like them crying. I worked at a movie theater for a number of years. I don't like children at all. Can't stand them. That being said, if you are raising children, good, keep on raising them right. Don't do what the people in this movie did. I'll get into spoilers in a bit, but this movie is utterly just... I went shit a few times. And that was within the first 30 minutes. Fortunately, I had a private screening to myself, as opposed to a private screening not to myself, because otherwise how would I have seen it? It was scary, just fucking scary, and the way the camera worked, the just understanding of just this assault of a horror, this horror that is all-consuming and is coming after you. This is like how people described It Follows, except this is good. I might have to rewatch It Follows, but I remember not liking it as much, even though it had some good ideas. This takes a few familiar things, and it just throws them against the wall and just says, we're going to add buckets of blood, and we're going to add some scary goddamn shit, and we're going to make sure that you care just enough about these characters to stay invested. But we're not going to tell you too much about them. We're going to give you a few reasons why the characters may be upset. But this movie, it's not happy. It is not happy at all. It is a very upsetting movie. It is a very dark movie. It is a bleak and depressing movie, and I fucking loved it. If you can see it in theaters, absolutely go watch it in theaters. It is fucking terrifying. It is great. One of the best horror movies I've seen this year. Right up there with Talk to Me. I mean that. This was a fucking goddamn grand slam. This was great. I'm going to talk about some spoilers here in a bit, but if you can't see it in theaters, then watch it on Shudder. Shudder is a great streaming service. No, I'm not sponsored. Wouldn't mind being sponsored, but they've done great with some of their originals. This will no doubt hit the streaming service soon. I'm glad I went and watched it because I had a great goddamn time. I was even squirming in my seat a few times. And even though it does tread some familiar ground and some characters do some monumentally stupid things, you're thinking, oh, they're not gonna, oh, they fucking did that. Oh, they fucking, oh, fuck. No. Oh, fuck. There is one particular scene with an animal that I'm going to talk, don't worry. The animal I'm referring to is fine, seemingly, but this all-consuming evil, it's just, it doesn't bother to explain too much, but it explains just enough that you know it's all around us. The threat of all is all around us. Probably shouldn't have said that about Argentina, given the things. Anyway, let's get away from that. Let's get away from that. Great work by Damien Rugna and the cast, from the kids to everybody, the guys playing two brothers. Great shit. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay. So, there's a thing called the Rotten, which is evil. It's like they've run into this very, very infected individual that basically, it's like, remember the really, really fat character from Blade? Remember that? That he kept assaulting with the lights? It's like that, except pussier and grosser. Yeah, these two brothers, before that, find this body torn apart. And there's this weird, almost like telescopic old school thing that's broken apart that's really, really weird. You don't know why the hell that's broken apart. And then they find the Rotten. They decide, well, hey, wait a second. We need to get rid of this goddamn thing. We need to take it away from our village and take it somewhere else. Take it down the road, take it to another, throw it in the ocean. Maybe eat cake by the ocean. Argentinian cake by the ocean. Going back to that cosplayer. Never mind. This basically goes a little bit tits up, though, because there's this guy Ruiz that they know, Pedro and Jimmy, who are the brothers. They are driving around, and then they almost run into a kid. They had the body in the back of the truck, and then suddenly, the body is not in the back of the truck. It has escaped, somehow. How the fuck did the body escape? Yes, it's evil. Yes, it's pretty much whatever. But the mother and the other son that were there, even though the other son is clearly like about 20 years younger than this son, so it's weird. They're all scared. And then we get to Ruiz and his wife. His wife who's apparently pregnant, despite the fact Ruiz is about 50 years old, seemingly, at least the character is. But he's going to go shoot this individual before they decide to take it away in the truck. And then, because of that, they think, okay, whatever, we'll go find it, but it's fine. We got rid of it, it's gone. No, the evil can just go anywhere. It can go into animals and go wherever. This evil goes into one particular goat that Ruiz and his wife spot. And then you're not supposed to use guns to kill these things. Why? Because it spreads the evil, I guess? That really isn't explained. He shoots the goat, and then she axes him in the head and axes herself in the head. And it takes a few times to axe yourself in the head. I speak not from experience, because that would be painful and I'd be dead. Or at least in a hospital, not handling things well. And then, oh, God, that was great. That was great stuff. But then we get to Pedro going to his ex-wife's house, his wife Sabrina, a beautiful woman, by the way, and her other husband, and there's some kids, including a non-verbal, I guess on spectrum, non-verbal, neurodivergent, I think is how it's pronounced, Hame or Hame. They pronounce names differently there. I don't really, I mean, and I'm talking about like various characters pronounce names differently, so I'm not too sure. But he's nonverbal and he likes apple ice cream and stuff like that and has certain things that certain routines. That's kind of what you have to do. And then there's a younger boy. And then there's a daughter. And the daughter is by the dog. The dog bites the girl and proceeds to drag her and slam her under the table and then run out with her. While the wife's other husband, or new boyfriend or whatever, is on the goddamn thing. Pedro at this point has stripped out of his clothes trying to get rid of any evidence that the evil touched him. But the evil's there. And the evil possesses the dog. And you knew that something was going to happen. And they just had the camera on there enough to where, okay, they cut away and then boom. And the kid sees this. The boy that can actually speak, he sees this. And oh my God, the dog rushes the daughter out of there. It is scary. The other husband's chasing after that. And Pedro's in like, well, shit, we need to get the kids. He gets the other kids in there. He's trying to get the keys. The daughter ends up coming back. The daughter is possessed. The dog, if it dies, it's off screen. Don't worry. But the daughter's not doing well. And the daughter says to the mother, Daddy is going to come home with the car and kill her. Come home in the car and boom. And right as Pedro and the two sons are leaving, and he's told Jimmy, do what you can, gather up what money you can. We got to leave possession behind, but we need money. We got to get away from this. The new husband just runs into Sabrina and the daughter. Just smashes them. And it's so well done. It's so good, but it's so bleak, but I fucking love it. And then he's running, Pedro's driving away. The non-verbal, except for, grunts and moans, can't verbalize. He's not handling things all that well. Jimmy, has the mother, their grandmother, because they're brothers, because they need another body. She explains stuff about certain rules. Don't use electrical lights. Don't say its name. Don't be around animals and everything. So yeah, don't basically have any fun. Don't use electric lights and don't be around animals. And then we get to this one point where there's this older woman, older, not as old as a grandma, but older. I don't remember the character's name, but she has confronted this evil before, and she can help them. She's in a remote location that has electrical lights, but we got to use candles and stuff like that. Because why not the electrical lights that attracts the shadows at the wavelengths, I guess? Again, a few things that aren't necessarily explained, but when it's this visceral and this good and it hits you in the head, you don't really care. So, the evil ends up taking over Sabrina, and Sabrina calls and is talking to them. Pedro's freaking out earlier because he was crying because of the daughter and various others, and he feels bad about his kids. And Jimmy's trying to calm him down. They go to this old lady's house. Sabrina shows up. She had called on the phone and says, I'm going to come take my children, and you can't do anything about it. And what does she do? She fucking shows up. And she takes the youngest son and jumps off the balcony. And then they're gone. Except they're not gone. This movie got to me. This movie really got to me. And then the neurodivergent kid, Jamie, I believe. Hame, I believe. Hame. He suddenly can speak. Because he's possessed. But the evil has a hard time getting into the brain of people that are different. And then they don't know how to get out. They don't know how to work the brain. But then eventually he figures it out. Rewiring and all that stuff. So now he can talk and he can do all this stuff. And he talks to the grandma and says, hey, I don't want to get sick. I want to put a blanket on. Can you make some tea? And then he gets around her. And then they cut away. So yeah, Jimmy goes chasing along with them, along with the older lady, to go find this evil, because the body of this rotten, there was Uriel, I think is how it's pronounced, the really, really fat one, he's buried in a school with a bunch of evil children, because that's what we need. All the teachers are dead, they're covered with lime, and the rotten body is buried under there. This older lady says, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to gather we need to get the rotten out of there, and we need to use this device, one of those telescopic device things that was set up. But you can't run, you can't do anything around this, you can't do this stuff. Meanwhile, Jimmy, a little bit earlier, had been driving. They can't use their headlights except on occasion. And he manages to get by Sabrina, who's carrying the body of the younger boy and eating his brains. Literally scooping parts of his brain out. It's great. Mr. Rugna, what the fuck? What in the world? What happened in your life that made you think of this? Thank you for it, but I'm sorry if you experienced bad things. Yeah, the school is full of dead children, obviously, clearly. Or possessed children, one of the two. And then Pedro ends up listening to the kids to try and go get an axe to chop up the floorboards, but the axe isn't there. And because only one of them is in the room, they destroy the old lady by hitting her in the head with the axe and hitting her in the head with a whole bunch of stuff. And Pedro realizes he fucked up. And then takes the telescopic part and beats the shit out of the rotten. And ends up releasing the evil that it was going to give birth to. Which was a variation of his son. I think. I don't know exactly, but all I know is this. When Evil Lurks is going to stick with me for a while, I'm not going to necessarily look at children, in front of houses the same way again. That sounded a lot less creepy in my head, but I'm going to look at people standing outside on a crowded street and saying, don't stand in front of your house. A truck might come and hit you. Don't listen to your child say, poom. If a child says poom around me, I'm going to run the opposite direction. A+. This was great. It was bleak. It was depressing. My God, it was depressing. That ending with Pedro crying is going to stick with me because he knew that he fucked up because just before he's crying and losing it, the son that's neurodivergent, that was talking a little bit ago, is back to his normal ways. We don't see the grandma anymore, by the way. Because he's eating the ice cream and then suddenly he starts choking. And then he's trying to pick stuff out. He picks out hair and the necklace. He ate the grandmother. Yeah, A+. A+. It's great. It's one of my favorite films of the year. And I don't know if I can watch it again. Except I'll probably watch it when it's on Shudder. It's great. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentland. I'll see you soon.